Okay, let's just jump right in. Who is the single greatest musician of all time? Now, at first glance, that seems like a simple question, right? It's the kind of thing you'd argue about with your friends. But the more you start to pull at that thread, the more you realize it's actually one of the most complicated and, honestly, explosive questions in all of art. And to even try to answer it, we first have to figure out why it's so loaded in the first place. And you see it all the time online, don't you? This one comment about some list of all-time greatest songs just perfectly captures the chaos. People get genuinely heated about these rankings. Because when we talk about music, we're not just talking about notes and rhythms. We're talking about our identity, our memories, our culture. And that's where it all gets messy. I mean, for a lot of people, you could make a very, very strong case that the conversation starts and ends with the Beatles. For millions, they are the default answer. Their influence on pop music, on culture as a whole, it's so huge it's almost impossible to even measure. But then, what about someone like Gucci Mane? He is an absolute titan for an entire generation of rappers out of Atlanta. Seriously, without him, the sound of modern trap music just wouldn't exist as we know it today. And then, what about Joseph Haydn? We're talking about the father of the symphony here. His work literally laid the groundwork for a huge chunk of Western classical music. So how on earth are you supposed to rank these three artists on the same list? It feels absurd because, well, it is. So if we're going to even attempt this, we first have to agree on what we're even measuring. What does the yardstick for musical genius even look like? Well, on one hand, you've got pure commercial dominance. We're talking staggering numbers that are just impossible to ignore. Drake can drop an album and it just takes over the charts. The Beatles, over 600 million units sold worldwide. But then you have enduring influence. As Dave Navarro famously said, Black Sabbath are the Beatles of heavy metal. They didn't just sell records, they created the entire blueprint, the very language, for a genre that's still going strong today. So, which one is greater? And this really shows us that the whole idea of genius isn't just one thing. The Beatles had this massive, world-altering cultural impact. Frank Zappa, on the other hand, was celebrated for his insane, mind-bending technical skill. And then you have Lauryn Hill, who reached legendary status through the artistic purity of one single, landmark, Grammy-winning album. Three completely different ways to be great. And just think about the sheer effort behind that genius. It took over 700 hours of studio time to record Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And this was in an era of 4-track recording. The Beatles' whole approach, that everything on the album had to be new and different, from literally chopping up tapes to using headphones as microphones, was a kind of innovation you can actually count in hours spent in the studio.